What's up guys, Trader Neil here, back at you with another live stream. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, BNB, and all your favorite altcoins. And we're going to talk about that market pump that happened over this weekend. But before we get started, as always, I would appreciate it if you guys like this video, subscribe to my channel at Trader Neil, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. And just a little thing, if you guys didn't watch my Sol to $800 next video I uploaded last week, I talk about how Sol could 2x, maybe even 3x throughout the rest of the cycle. So don't miss that one if you guys want to see my analysis on it. But other than that, let's get started. Alright guys, so today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, and some of your favorite altcoins. We're going to also take a look at USDT dominance and Bitcoin dominance, because I think those are some important charts to always take a look at and see where we're at. And we're going to go from there. Answer your guys' questions throughout the stream and hopefully find a few trade setups along the way. Alright, so let's start out with Bitcoin here. The corns. Of course, over the weekend, we had quite the strong move up. Pretty much, it was Saturday evening. You guys know what happened. Mr. Prez got shot, and Bitcoin initially pushed to the downside. News came out that he was okay, and we were pretty much off to the races ever since Mr. Prez got shot. Hey, I'm just telling it how it is, right? First thing we did was check TradingView. I've got some strong brain rot going. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. But anyway, ever since then we've been pushing to the upside. It's clear that that was at least somewhat of a catalyst in this market. And also, the other thing that's kind of interesting is that, you know, ever since Germany, they ran out of Bitcoin to sell on the open market on Friday. I feel like that also had a part to play in what happened too. Just because I think that them not market selling everything to the open markets and pushing price down like they had been throughout this last couple week period, I also think that's playing a part in it, and they're not selling today, of course, because they don't have anything left. So I think that is also one of the reasons why we're pushing up. And just in general, looking at BTC here, if you guys miss this move up, I would not be chasing and trying to FOMO along here. We are coming into mid-range resistance. Not only is it SR, but looking left, you have multiple instances where you have rejections at current levels, support, rejection, SR flip. So what you don't want to see is trying to take a long here and then immediately getting rejected into a pullback. Couple areas of interest in the area that I would be interested the most in is the bottom of this golden pocket fib at 64,816. This is pretty much the first area that I would be looking at to take a hedge short. I'm in a couple longs from sub 60k, so to be able to hedge some of those, I'd be looking for something like this. And I'd be looking to essentially take this down to potentially 60 through 280. Honestly, I'm not sure we go down that far, but that would be at least my final TP target that I'd be looking at. So that's one place that I'd be interested for a trade on Bitcoin. And then let's go to the 12 hour, see if I see anything. Four-hour chart here. Yeah, so this was quite the push up, especially with those 2 4-hour candles yesterday. I mean, that was pretty insane there. There's this huge amount of buy volume coming in. So in terms of a pullback, something that is absolutely clean right now, if we were to reject here, would be a move back down to about 60K for a retest for higher. I mean, then you would be putting in possibly like sort of a wonky inverted head and shoulders here. I think that's very possible. But the thing is I would only start looking for longs and limit longs once I start to see a confirmed market structure break on like a lower time frame, because then I would pull out some fibs. Then I would start taking a pull from these lows to wherever we put in a short-term top, and then see if we have any confluence from there. I'm on the Bitfinex chart right now, so I'm not exactly sure how accurate this volume profile will be. Yeah, not great. I don't really trust this one, so I'm going to take that off the chart. So for now, areas for a pullback that I'd be looking to take a potential trade would be around the 60K level for something like that. I'd be also interested in this wick here for a DCA. All right, so 2 potential trades here on Bitcoin. We could get rejected here, but I'm not looking to head short yet. I would be more interested if we get a move here because I have more confluence for a potential trade. All right. Also got an NPOC at 6100. Nice. So we got a little bit more confluence there too. And then while we're at it, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys have seen this, but I just want to bring it to your attention. We do have a CME gap on BTC here. Pretty much between the zone that we closed at Friday afternoon to where CME futures opened yesterday. All of this price action to the upside happened over the weekend before Sunday evening, and then that's what happens. That is the precursor to what we call a CME gap, where price action has pushed to the upside or downside over the weekend while CME futures are closed. So yeah, pretty much this acts a lot of times as a magnet for price action. So you can see something like this where you fill the gap, and immediately when you fill it, you get at least a resemblance of a bounce. Possible there are some confluences at that level. I'm just not so sure that we come down to fill that. Personally, I would not be very bullish on BTC if we do fill that necessarily. I think that we could have a potential structure break if we come all the way down there, so I'd be a little cautious. If we come all the way down to this zone, I would have to reevaluate some trades. So definitely got to keep that in mind. And then while we're on the topic of Bitcoin, we can also look at Bitcoin dominance itself. Appreciate you, Caleb. Thank you. I got you guys. My YouTube channel is at traderneil. If someone could post that in chat for me, I would very much appreciate that. So looking at Bitcoin dominance here, guys, if you view it in terms of a channel, we are still uptrending here on the daily. We have not lost this uptrend. Every single low here on the daily, guys, here, all the way from beginning of May of 23. Every single low, pretty much besides this one, which did get taken out but then reclaimed, every single low is protected here. every single time. So well, I won't say every single time, and I think that's mostly because this is a dominance chart, so it's not perfect TA, perfect candles, but every low that does get taken out is immediately reclaimed, and it's just SFPs. So I wouldn't call it a liquidity grab because there's no liquidations or stop losses on this chart, but at the same time, you could view it in the same way. So pretty much every low is protected on this daily, and it's continuously just pushing to the upside over time. Would I call this like a supply line break? Not really. It's not really the way I'm viewing it, but at the same time, like, I can't tell you that this is a bearish chart. You still have 3 higher lows potentially here, and if you break above these highs at 55%, then I would not be surprised if you see all the way at least to 56, maybe even up here to 57. So BTC dominance, I'm not seeing anything bearish about it yet. I still think higher prices are to come. Let's go to the weekly RSI. As long as it's above the 50 level here, it's not in a bearish posturing for me. If you lose the 50 level on the weekly, then I'll probably get more bearish on what I think about the long-term view on this asset, but for now, it's looking fine. Yo, what's up, Wild? I can hear you now.
Oh, there
Sorry.
he is. Hello.
Hey.
Thoughts on BTC, my friend?
Yeah. So let's go back to BTC here. Pretty much my thoughts at the moment. I am looking for a potential rejection coming up in this zone, at least for a short-term pullback between 63 all the way up to around 65, 66K. Got a potential short idea here as well. And that's pretty much what I'm looking at. I think, in my opinion, a couple of the catalysts, I think it's very clear that, and no coincidence that after everything that happened Saturday afternoon with the ex-president, everything's been pushing to the upside pretty strongly since that moment.
Yeah.
And so saying that it doesn't have anything to do with it, I think it's hard to make an argument for it. And then also Germany finishing up selling all of their Bitcoin on Friday, I think is playing a part in it, especially because today, if they had more Bitcoins, I think they would be selling them. So, and they're not, since they don't have any left. So I think that's part of the reason why we're pushing so strongly up on price action. I'm not ready to say that we're going to be pushing all the way back up to range highs by any means yet. We've got some strong resistances before we start talking about that. I would like to see 64 to 65K be reclaimed at least on a couple of daily candles before I'm ready to say that 70 plus K is viable again. So until we beat this mid-range zone, I am still going to be playing this as a potential rejection point and looking for potential sideways to choppy price action for the next couple days at least once we hit it.
Fair play. And I agree with you down to the T.
Heck yeah, man.
Only thing is, I'm upset about 63K. I did not want to see this right now. I needed my 45K. But obviously, at least the correlations with Donald Trump getting shot. Spoke about this ages ago, how they like to at least control the narrative of a market whilst elections go on. Obviously, when there's someone favoured, or at least someone that's favoured on the campaign team, if something happens to them, or whenever they show up on a screen, the market tends to be bullish. And it always happened 4 or 5 years ago when Donald Trump was also on the screen. They always did it. They made it bullish for some reason, and that controlled many narratives. And the same thing here. I'm not looking for 70K right now. I'm looking for the same resistance zone. Literally, same setup. Looking at the exact same ideas. I'm not expecting any more, to be fair.
Yeah.
And yes, if only BTC did drop every time Biden shows up, man.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I know what you mean. That's hilarious, man. I think that, I'm looking for at least a pullback coming up. I really don't think a run up from sub 60 to 70K in one go is sustainable by any means. Even the daily RSI is starting to just this line, man, this push. This is not sustainable. So
Ridiculous.
yeah. So I think that a pullback coming up is pretty likely, and as a result, I would not be looking for any current market longs by any means. I would be careful here and trying to navigate things day by day.
Sadly. Anyways, I just came in to ask you that question. We've
Yeah.
not spoken in a while, man. We definitely do need to catch up. But,
Likewise, man. It has been a while.
I'll leave you to it and enjoy the rest of your stream. Bye
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
bye. Like.
All right, guys. So that was Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and take it to ETH now. So looking at Ethereum alongside Bitcoin here, had a nice push to the upside. ETH took out these lows, these wick lows here in this daily level, daily order block, which is nice. On the Bitstamp chart, yes, it did take out these lows. I'm not saying that that is the same across all of these charts. So if I pull up the Bybit chart, which is what I put more stock in here, guys, and I'll go ahead and I'll delete these fibs so it's a little cleaner. We did not take out all of these lows. So these, for example, we got really close, but we left them. I don't think that, at this point, I'm not worried about us needing to come down and take them at this point. But in the future, say, for example, this was the low, we had to range highs and even break them here. In the future, I think you get a nice bounce once you hit this wick at some point. So just gonna leave that on my chart. But yeah, let's go back to that previous ETH chart here, since I want to start out with a clean one. ETH back above the 200 moving average and the 200 EMA. I forgot to say that, by the way, on BTC, guys. Once we closed above the 200 EMA here and the 200 moving average, we were off to the races, because that was a perfect reclaim. Same pretty much with Ethereum, just not as, let's say, not as strong, because your first close above the 200 MA here didn't close above the EMA, so it was kind of chopping in between. Once you finally had a daily close above both, then you had to push up. So that was big. And then at this point, looking for a couple areas of interest on ETH. One thing that I really like is that we are above 3265. Really important area to reclaim on ETH, as you can see. You can view ETH in terms of a couple of ranges here. This is the bottom side range for me. Something like this. And everything else, I would consider it to be more so in the top side range. Maybe you could place a SR there and consider the top side being around 36 or so, 3670. But at this point, guys, I think that ETH does have a push up to 3670. I would not be surprised. It's been noticeably weaker than BTC here, so I think it takes the reins once BTC stalls out and continues to push. Would not surprise me. You do have a daily level here coming up on ETH at 3440, but I don't see a whole lot of confluence there for a potential short, just besides it being an SR point. So if you guys are looking to take a potential scalp trade, that might be also your mid-range fib. Let me pull that up. It's front running it a bit. Yeah, we're pretty much at mid-range here. So if you want to take a scalp short at 3440, just wait for a reaction at that level on a lower time frame, like the 5-minute. And if you do get a possible swing failure in SFP of that level, you could take a small size scalp short is all I'd be looking at, because overall right now, we already took the liquidity at this daily level. I don't think we stall here. You have one here. I don't see a whole lot of other confluence there. I think that you do have a push up to 3670 coming up soon. Daily order block as well at that level. So pretty much about right here is my target on ETH. It's harder to give fresh trades right now, guys, especially on the lower time frame. The only thing I could tell you is if you are going to take any longs on ETH, as you can see, every single low here is protected. Here, 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 here. So, yeah, every single time ETH pushes close to those lows but never actually takes them. So if you're going to take a long here on try to time this run up, pretty much just have your stops below your previous low, because if you take them and start closing below it, then this uptrend is probably going to stall for a bit. For now, I'm already in a couple of ETH longs from around 2,900 and 3K, so I'm not going to take any fresh trades. I'm looking first for potential rejection here. All right, and so that's pretty much my thoughts on ETH. I'm sorry that there's no like clean setup right at current prices. It's just when you come up to mid-range with such velocity, just such strength, what are you going to do? Either you take a scalp short or you wait for the move to play out and wait for a range to form. It's pretty similar to this move down on ETH, guys. Besides me saying that we could have a potential bounce at range lows here once you take this liquidity, which is what you got. Excuse me, guys. Other than taking the trade at the very clear area, which was range lows, you'd be catching a falling knife. Where else would your trade have been besides a potential very low time frame long, scalp long? It would have just been taking a short with the same thing I told you about when it comes to longs. You just have your stops above the previous protected high before it gets taken. It's the same thing you would be doing here. That's all you can do. And so it's the same situation, right? Because down here, I was saying that wait for this range lows to fill and get a wick down into it. And then once you see some sell volume taper, or once you see some sell volume get to a head, then you can take a long here and then wait for a potential bounce. Same here, wait for range highs and then potentially take a short here. It's the same situation, just in reverse. All right, and then looking at Sol here, guys. Sol is very strong, and let me pull up the daily chart because this paints my picture better. Our Sol spot hit TP1. It was a beautiful move up. Reason I took the spot trade is because on the daily we were closing cleanly above the 200 EMA and the MA here, and we continue to do so. And at the moment, guys, above those levels, I don't have a reason to be bearish on Sol. Even now, this daily resistance, which we are coming up to, we could see some potential rejection there. We also have daily SR, not as clean, at 157. At this point, though, guys, I would not be surprised to see this break. You got a supply line break here, very clean on the daily close above it. Daily RSI pushing above 50. And then my favorite chart that you guys hear me talk about all the time, Sol BTC. This one is still in a bullish posturing. Same thing above the 50 level on the RSI, supply line break. Of course, with BTC dominance, you know, it's having a little trouble pushing the upside, but in my opinion, this one is simply just gearing up for a markup. I'm still waiting for it. I'm not going to be surprised if this starts to push soon. Don't see anything bearish about this whole chart here. Until you get a clean rejection off of this zone another time, which we don't know if that's going to happen yet. You'll have to be patient and wait for a potential reaction. I'm bullish on Sol till proven otherwise. All right, and then BNB. This one I am totally mad at myself for fading. And the reason I faded it is because for whatever reason, guys, I don't know why, but I just don't look at the BNB chart as much as I look at BTC, ETH, and Sol. Like, I look at it very little. I don't have it at the top of my watch list, and it's just, it's just a weird thing that I've always been doing whenever it comes to BNB and trading it. I just don't have it at the top of my charts for some reason. And I should, because its price action is so clean. It is easy to trade. Here, this long off of the 200 EMA and SMA was so simple in hindsight. Looking at it, you never closed a daily even below the EMA here. And so your trade, once you had your close and once you had a retest and push back above, that was your trigger. You could have even waited for these to be hit and a close above, and you close back above range lows here. So at this point on BNB, I see a potential rejection zone coming up here, but again, at this point, just wait for range highs. I think you could potentially take at least a scalp short off of these highs. Stops with a daily close right above 622. And I would just be looking at something like this. Don't get in front of a freight train here. I would not be trying to short this mid-range level here. If you are in some BNB longs, congrats. I would take some profits once you come back to at least 613. Looks like BTC is pushing here again. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's breaking back above 63.47. ETH is pushing. Sol's pushing. Everything's pushing right now. What's up, Just E? All right, guys. Anything y'all want to look at? I was looking at FET earlier. I can't tell you about this coin a whole lot because I know they're having that merger thing coming up, so I don't know, like, I know it got delisted from some exchanges and things like that, so I don't know if there's like a whole lot of place you can trade this, but at the same time, like, this is a nice area for a move up. Like, I really do think FET comes all the way back to this daily level at this point. I took a long earlier about right here. And I'm looking for highs. I've just got my stops below the lows. Probably trim a little bit at this daily level, but I think this one pushes up. Appreciate it, Lettuce. Thank you. All right, sweet. So, looking at some of your guys' requests, I'm going to pick and choose a couple of them because I looked at them before and I want to see how they're doing now. If you guys saw my whiff chart on Twitter, I was basically talking about how us holding these lows looked really good. And so far, you're finally starting to get a move off of these levels. Fresh trade, not what I'd be looking at for right now. Daily resistance coming up, stack levels. So take some profits if you are in whiff. I am in whiff spot and a long. I'm going to be looking to TP around $2. Maker, our maker spot is absolutely killing it right now. This thing is pushing heavy to the upside. It was funny, like, for some reason, like, I had a lot of people tell me whenever I was buying maker over here that it was a bad idea. They were like, oh, that's breaking below range. It's definitely coming back down to sub $2,000. And I was like, well, you do have some nice divergencies. I also entered on the reclaim of 2172, not of the breakdown, so it's kind of a weird situation there, but worked out for us, and so that's what I care about. Let's go ahead and look at some memes. This is a crazy chart. Okay, so SHIB here, this is the epitome of a V shape. As you can see, this is a V. It literally has it on the chart. Back above daily resistance. You already closed the daily above it. Now you're pushing. So your next boss is 200 moving average and previous range lows here. So you will really want to see this reclaim. if you want to see higher prices, like all the way up here at 276. So again, is this a nice place to be able to take a trade? Depends on your point of view here. If you really think that luck is on your side and you're going to break above all this resistance right here, then that would be your trade. If you close back the daily back below this support resistance level back into this previous tiny range, then you cut the trade. I personally, I'm not going to take this. I don't really like how it looks. Stacked resistances are not my thing, especially taking a fresh trade going into them. Appreciate it. Let's see. Taking a look at ONDO here. Again, guys, like I did tell you all that I sold pretty much all of my ONDO spot. I found a small bag on my KuCoin account that I'm still holding. But overall, ONDO here, I'm not super interested yet. However, I'm seeing some potential signs, some promising signs. And my signs are pretty much like this. Let me draw a nice SR zone for you guys. Okay. Hopefully this makes it a little clear. If you get a reclaim here of this level, you start to close dailies around here, get a wick down to this SR, then I think you get your long. Then I think you take this, you get a markup here. But you don't want to see rejection here, like a wick up and a close below. That would not be good. You want to see closes up here and then a wick down. Does that make sense? It really depends on how you're closing candles. Not just that you make your way up here and meander and then push down before you actually have any meaningful closures. All right. I'm just looking at too many random alts here. Let's look at specific ones. I saw one, that's what it was, STX. Let's look at STX. Because STX is one that, in my opinion, looks really good. Let's go to the 12-hour here. Ooh, I don't like the way these candles are looking on this Coinbase chart. Let's pull up the Bybit chart. Yep, I like that better. Okay. So this is what I'm looking at on STX. Pretty much two scenarios. Either you get a 12H closure above this 1.885 level and you take that up all the way back to about 2.46. Take that trade, wait for the flip, get on the retest, take something like this. Or, and at this point, what I would be looking at is to take a trade at a pullback to these lows. Same trade, but invalidation here is if you close the 12-hour back below pretty much 1.742, then I would get out of it. Because in my opinion, I still think you could potentially make like a higher low at that point. And of course, like that wouldn't surprise me, but that higher low, in my opinion, would come in somewhere around here. So this would be another trade altogether. You know, I don't want to take the trade here and then DCA all the way down here. I'd be looking to take the trade down here and look for something like this. Okay. So hopefully this convoluted mess of setups makes some sense to you guys. And then, yeah, let's take a look at Pepe. Everyone loves looking at Pepe, right? Pepe is beautiful. So if you look at Pepe on the daily, I took a long yesterday, not only because higher time frames here look fantastic on Pepe. Anything above this 868 level looks good for higher prices. At the very least, I am looking at this level to be tagged up here around 1087. I think that is your first stop. I think you could potentially get a rejection there. Let's get to the 12 hour here. 12 hour initially got rejected by these moving averages, but it's starting to push through. Let's see. Not a place I'd be looking to take a fresh long. If you were able to continue to push and get a flip of this level, then you could take the long there. If not, then I'd be looking for something like that. Let's take a volume pull here, see if you got confluence. Yeah, you're pretty much at the value area high of your range at this point. So flipping that, then I think you send all the way back up to highs. But you got to get the flip. Gonna adjust this a little bit, make that go away, and place this pullback setup about right there. So yeah, if you get a move back down to these lows, then you could get in a trade there. Otherwise, wait for the flip. Don't just mark it long here and hope it flips, because hoping is not a strategy. The moving averages I have on my chart, it's the 200 EMA and then the 200 SMA. The other one I have is a multi-time frame MA. It's also it's a 1 day 200. Let me go ahead. Yeah, it's a 1 day 200. So this is always going to be at the level of my chart. It'll coincide with once I actually go to the 1 day here. You can see they're on top of each other because my multi-time frame one stays in the same place every time. Yeah, we can take a look at JTO because I think it is in a good place. Last time I looked, I did long it the other day. Okay, well that good place was, I was thinking it was still about right here, but it already broke above into this range and above it. So you already got the flip there. And you are coming up to resistance right now. So this is another one you got to be looking more so for an SR flip rather than a market long. Another resistance trade here coming up, so look for something like this. Flip, boom. That's what you want to see here. I do like you are breaking this supply line here. I think this is a clean break. Look at it this way. Then I think you have a stronger argument to take the long on this flip. 12-hour RSI breaking back above 50, so I like that too. This would be a nice setup here. Pretty much just look for something like this. And then we try to nab those highs. 12-hour close for stops because as you can see, you've got some heavy wicks here. So don't get wicked out. All right. Let's see. I don't think I've looked at this one with you guys before, but one that I'm interested in is Brett. So I already took a long on this one, as you can see by my squiggle. It got those lows, So I'm in from a long from these lows right now. I'm looking for the 4-hour to flip these highs because it is at resistance at this point. So I want to see a 4-hour close above and then a retest. I don't know if we get that at this point, but then with memes running the way they do, I would not be surprised to run the highs again. Especially with PopCat pushing 25%, I think that liquidity flows into other memes pretty soon. Would not surprise me. I am not gonna DCA into Soul Spot at this point. I've got a big bag, is the way I'll put it, and I made that bag even bigger when I bought it again the other day. So I don't need a DCA into Strength anymore. I'm not gonna take the risk. If you watched my sold the $800 video the other day, you would have been in a good place if you bought then. Just saying. Nah, I'm just playing, guys. All right, guys. Give me let's see, it's 11:50. Give me 2 more coins and then I'll look at those before I go. Okay. Let's look at some dino coins since I don't usually do them. Let's look at Link and then ADA, believe it or not. Daily chart on Link here. Okay, so Link reclaiming previous range lows. I don't know. This chart doesn't look very good compared to some other ones. Like, I would not be surprised to see something like that. Maybe even a push all the way back down to bullishly retest range lows again and then take the long there. I just don't really like the way this chart is setting up. I think there's going to be a lot of choppiness. Unless by chance, if this thing pushes strongly to the upside, which only thing I'm really seeing to support that is you have somewhat of a supply line break there. But I would love to be able to get in on a trade on a retest of these lows again. Pretty much to confirm them as support. Like a spring back test sort of thing. And then taking a look at ADA here. The reason I want to look at it, since you guys said it, is because actually I did take an ADA long last night, believe it or not. I'm not one to trade this coin like ever. I haven't traded in a long time. But the reason I did was because I saw this price action here. Pretty much saw the 12-hour close above and was simply waiting for at least 2 candle closes above it. And got that. You are sitting right at 12-hour 200 EMA resistance. So that is going to be respected in my opinion. Supply line break there. Okay, I don't see a clean setup here at this point now that you've already hit this resistance. Give me one more coin because I want to give you guys a one that has a little bit more of promise at this point. Nah, we already long ETC. There's no point. We already looked at PEPE Caleb. Come on. We can look at Sui. Let's check it out. Alright. Sui here. Let's do the daily first. Okay, so Sui is currently at resistance on the daily. Got this bearish order block here. You are right below daily resistance as well, as you can see. So what would I be doing here? Well, if you are betting on this downtrend continuing, this is where you'd see it, in my opinion. Because this is the kind of place where you would be looking for a lower high. I'm not saying that I'm going to take the short here, because I'm not. I'm personally not. I mean, with Bitcoin the way it is, it's on the bullish side, and I'm not one to take a bunch of shorts right now because most of these alts are breaking above their previous daily highs, and so Sui's probably going to do the same thing. But at the same time, like this is a trade setup like in a bearish environment I would definitely take, because this is exactly where you'd see a lower high and you'd see this trend continuing. So if you're not going to take that, what's the bullish setup here? Well, you'd really want to see not only this high being flipped, but this 0.9 level being flipped into support like that. And then you have more of a chance to come up to higher prices. You've got stacked resistance coming up on Sui though. It's just, you've got a long ways to go before you come up to these highs. All right. I'm just scanning through these charts, seeing if I see anything before I go for you guys. Injective here. I know a lot of you guys are probably in injective. You want to see this daily order block being flipped back into support. Something like this. If you see this daily OB being flipped into a breaker, then I would be taking a trade right here for higher prices. Be looking at something like that. Alright guys, so been streaming for about an hour now. That'll probably finish it up right there. I'm a YouTube fam. Appreciate you all for coming. We looked at some good setups today. If you guys like what you see, I appreciate a like and subscribe on this vid. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. This is Trader Neil out. Appreciate you guys.